0 games played poll. Okay, this is not the AP poll. This is not the coaches poll. This is a poll that is true to form, true to its title. What we see right now with 0 games being played so far. So I'm not predicting the college football playoff. We're going to do that here in just a short minute. But I am telling you the teams that I think right now we probably know the most about, and the team that we feel the best about going into the 2023 season. So at number 6 on this countdown, we're going to go with the first 2 out and then leading into the top 4 with the college football playoff. Number 6, I got LSU. And LSU last year, year 1 under Brian Kelly, had a huge year. If they can be consistent, if Jaden Daniels can stretch the ball downfield, that's a big part of it. But I'm telling you, consistency in the culture, they can very easily win the SEC West yet again. I say easily. They very realistically could win the SEC West yet again because of how much they have on that roster. Harold Perkins very well may be the best defensive player in the country. I think Matt House is very quietly one of the best defensive coordinators in the country. So the defensive side of things is set. Jaden Daniels is probably the best dual threat quarterback, not named Caleb Williams. They got a lot coming back. They feel much more, I think, reassured from what they had a season ago going into this year on the offensive line. Last year, they were figuring it out on the fly, and they were one of the best teams in the country. Played for an SEC title. This year, a lot coming back. Culture, standards, identity, all those things. They're cliche, but they matter. And if they can have that in spades and have that solidified, LSU is going to be very, very dangerous. But right now, given their roster, given how they finished last year, given who their quarterback is, their head coaches, I have them at number 6 on our countdown of the 0 games played poll. Make sure you're subscribed. That's all I'm going to ask. Thank you so much for that. All right. Now, at number 5 on this countdown, we've got the Florida State Seminoles. And Florida State is on this list and ahead of LSU on this list because, one, they beat them last year. So we're not making a pick in that game right now, but they did beat them last year, so it's hard for me to put them behind LSU. And quite frankly, they're the team that we know the most about heading into this season. Number 1 in returning production. Over 90% back on the defense, over 80% back on the offense. 110 ball games a season ago. You got your quarterback back. Feel really good about where Florida State stands right now from a roster standpoint. My question for them, how do you handle the pressure? Right? That's the number 1 question. How do you handle the pressure? Because this is not something that they have been accustomed to in the Mike Norvell era. I'm not saying they haven't had pressure. I'm saying they haven't had this same kind of pressure to win. It was pressure to make a bowl game probably going into last year, and then they won 10 football games. Now people are saying win the ACC, make the college football playoff, all those things. That is the weight that is on Florida State's shoulders right now. That's new for them. So seeing how they respond is going to be crucial. But from a roster, man, I mean, there's a lot to like, and there's a reason why they're so confident right now in Tallahassee, Florida. At number 4, now getting into the top 4. So if the college football playoff started today without playing any games, again, 0 games played poll, they're going to play the game, so this will change. At number 4, I have USC. And USC, I mean, there's no way around it. They have the Heisman Trophy winner coming back, the best player in college football, Caleb Williams. 75% production from that offense that scored over 40 a game last year. They're back. The reason why I have them as high as I do, though, what they did in the transfer portal on defense is really encouraging. I mean, they totally just changed the way that defensive line is going to look. That got ran through last year. You hate to say it, but Tulane and Utah, I think they're still breaking tackles right now on what USC's defense did last year. Much better right now. They got Barry Alexander from Georgia, got Anthony Lucas from Texas A&M. They also have Jack Sullivan. Doesn't get talked about quite as much, but they feel really good about him. He's a transfer from Purdue. That defensive line, just from the eye test alone, you're going to watch USC and say, wow, they're actually putting up a much better push than they had last year. You pair that with the offense, they're going to be dangerous. How dangerous? I'm going to tell you in a second here, but USC right now is my number 4 team in the 0 games played poll. Quick note, though, if you're upset about where your team sits right now, there's going to be more polls. We're going to talk more about these teams as we get data. We're making these picks right now with absolutely 0 data. They're not predictions. They're not projections. I'm telling you what I know right now. This is where things stand for me. So if you have a different poll, more power to you. Actually, let me know what your poll is because I'd love to hear from y'all. At number 3, the Ohio State Buckeyes. They were a college football playoff team a season ago. A lot of people in Columbus feel like, man, if Marvin Harrison Jr. doesn't get concussed in that one, we probably walk that thing off and we probably win the national title because Ohio State's beaten TCU. Now, that's last year. We're talking about this year. They have a 5-star quarterback. Who's it going to be? I don't know. but a lot of teams across the country would give their left arm, probably a support staff member, and someone on their kickoff team to have one 5-star quarterback. If you could make trades in college football, they would make that trade in a heartbeat to have either Devin Brown or Kyle McCord. So they're going to have somebody slinging the rock back there that is very capable. Ryan Day has consistently picked the right guy to be his QB. That's why Dwayne Haskins was a first-round pick. That's why C.J. Stroud was the number 2 quarterback taken. That's why they have Heisman finalists almost every single year, it feels like, at Ohio State from the quarterback position. Quarterback's going to be fine. The reason why I have them at number 3 is, well, yes, Marvin Harrison Jr. is back, but the defensive personnel, man, there was a lot made about the defense last year, and it's fair because there were some snapshots in your mind that you have of Donovan Edwards breaking off a big touchdown run, or maybe Georgia hitting that deep shot where the defender's kind of out of position. Like, those to me were mental errors. Those to me were guys being out of position, which quite honestly is allowed your first year in a scheme, especially when it's as complex as Jim Knowles runs it. Like we were talking about it going into last season, it is one of the most funky defenses to adjust to. So now the report out of Ohio State is you're going from having thought about it too much last year and actually just like kind of knowing what to do instead of just instinctively reacting. They think they've taken that next step now. And the defensive personnel, back to my point, they got some studs now. Went into the portal, got some help in the secondary. I think Lathan Ransom is actually a better safety than a lot of people want to give credit to. JT Tuimoloau is an absolute dog coming off the edge. We saw what he did against Penn State. Jack Sawyer, he's just playing defensive end right now. He was kind of doing that hybrid role last year. No, they're saying Jack Sawyer, go get after the quarterback. He was highly recruited out of high school. Like, I really think Ohio State is in a better position than maybe some people would like to believe on the defensive side of the ball. Make no mistake, that will be the difference maker for them to ultimately end up in the Final Four of this conversation going forward. So we'll talk about that here a little bit later. At number 2, no surprise, we got Michigan. Top 5 returning production, J.J. McCarthy. I think right now is the quarterback you probably feel the best about in the Big Ten, having not seen anything from Ohio State or anything from Penn State just yet, and Drew Aller. Talented kids, but you know what J.J. McCarthy is going to be. I mean, they have a Joe Moore Award-winning offensive line pretty much back for the most part. You have the best backfield in the country. Like, it's an embarrassment of riches. Everybody from last year's Big Ten title movie is back. It would be very difficult to put Michigan anywhere outside of the top 2 because we know so much about them. There's not a lot of guessing with Michigan. At number 1, also not a big surprise, we got Georgia. Big dog still barking. A lot back on defense. 70% of the production from last year's national title defense is back. That is frightening because Jalen Carter's not there, right? I mean, he's gone. Nolan Smith, he's not there anymore. He's gone. Keely Ringo, he's gone. But still, 70% of the production is back defensively. They allowed 15 points a game. That's frightening. A lot is going to be made of that quarterback position. Honestly, I think they're still in really good shape because of who they bring back on the offensive line, because of what they did in the portal, and also Brock Bowers is just a freak show in his own right. So to recap it for you, in the 0 games played poll right now, got LSU at 6, Florida State at 5. At 4, I got USC. At 3, I have Ohio State. 2, we got Michigan. And at 1, we have Georgia. Now, one logo that's not on here that we're probably going to get the most pushback for. Hey, where's Alabama? Hey, where's Nick Saban at? JD, you've said a lot of good things about Alabama so far this offseason. What? You didn't put him in your top 6, brother? I would go back to the title of this poll, the 0 games played poll. There's a lot of question marks around Alabama. Do I think they'll answer those emphatically with a checked box? Yes, I do. But you look at the returning production, they are in the 120s in terms of what they bring back. Now, a ton of talent. I would not be surprised if we did this poll, whatever we decide to call it, when we get to week 1 after the games are played and we're like, yeah, Alabama's in the top 4. I'm just saying right now, with what they don't bring back, with who we don't know is playing quarterback, Alabama, to me right now, in the 0 games played poll, is probably sitting at number 7. I'm not dunking on Bama. This is not a prediction. This is where things stand right now. This is not a prediction. I have to say it one more time. Not predictions, not projections, where things stand right now with 0 games played. Hey y'all, thanks so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel here to make sure you don't miss an episode of The Hard Count. Also be sure to check out other videos on the On3 YouTube channel.